Okay, welcome everybody. Nice to see everyone back. What's that? Okay, so today we're going to be discussing Chavitza. It's a very negative sugya like everything else we're doing this man. But I promised last week that I was going to finish off, and I'm not going to finish off everything I discussed because then we'll be on that the whole share. I just want to say two, I'm sure you heard other shiurim on it, about rice cakes and this, I'm not getting into. What bracha are you making, Lamaisa? No answer. Mezainis? Okay. On the package, I know lately it says Adama. It's very interesting. Lately it does say Adama. But yeah, I would do like Reb Shlomo just said, Mezainis. I spoke to Reb Shlomo Miller about it, Reb Feinstein. They held Mezainis. We could stay with a Mezainis. I'm not getting into that sugya. Many people make Adama, and that's also fine. Fine. I mean, yeah, there's a big day is that you make Adama, and some people even hold Shahako. But that's not what I want to discuss. What I want to discuss is as follows, just for 2 minutes before we start the new sugya. Let's say someone ate something and he made Adama, and then there's rice, there's vegetables, and there's rice. That's two side dishes, the vegetable side dish, and then rice. So he made Adama. Should he go ahead now and make a mezainis on the rice? You feel on rice, I'm not talking about rice cakes, rice. We spoke about last week, if you remember. It was a week and a day ago, so maybe but till 1 week, yeah. But we said we had a stark tzad to say, on rice you make a Adama. White rice? We said for sure Adama. Sorry. Brown rice, we had a stark tzad to say Adama. And white rice, we said that Shmuel Kametsky told me that you make Adama. The Welt makes mezainis, fine. But there is a stark tzad to make Adama on all rice. Because we don't know what's the smaich, and you make Adama. So if so, what's the halacha l'mais? L'mais, the Welt makes a mezainis. I agree. But let's say you made Adama. Should I go ahead and make a mezainis or not on the rice? I asked this a few years ago to Rabbi Forst from Barakaway. He wrote me again to Shuva. He says, fine, enough was that Kamashana. This because I'm busy with this for many years. And he says, there's many I found into the Shaila. Again to Shuva, what came out Lamaisa? Not clear. Okay. The other Tzion writes very clearly, do not make a bracha. The Adama of the vegetable, pater it, and therefore, even though it's a suffix mezainis, but once I made Adama, I do not make a mezainis anymore. Okay? White rice, brown rice, machshacheli. He held that every rice that we have is a suffix, Adama, suffix mezainis, do not make a bracha. That's what the other Tzion writes. There's a whole tshuva on this, and Chelik Beis, Pegidal, Sif Chav Beis. Rebbe Felder told me that he asked Chatzkel Rot Zatzal. And Chatzkel Rot told him, Lamaisi, you should make, because you did not intend, when you ate those vegetables, you didn't have in mind to pater the rice, therefore make a bracha mezainis on the rice. So too, Abdel Feinstein answered me that Avada, you should make a bayim in mezainis. So the end of the day is, Lamaisa, you should make a bayim in mezainis on the rice. Okay? Machlokes, but we're going to paskin. We feel very strongly making mezainis on rice, therefore make a mezainis. Now, the problem was like this. So you had a Suda, and you had cake, or you had cookies, you had pretzels, whatever it is, rice, chicken, vegetables. You made alamechia, because you had real mezainis. Do I have to make now bayim nefashos or not? Add mezainis plus rice. And I made alamechia. Do I make a bayim nefashos or not?
Which one?
On the rice itself? On the rice, I had mezainis. Rice, we always know you make a bayim nefashos. But over here, I made alamechia because I ate real mezainis. Do I make a bayim nefashos on the rice? Zdok the shayr tshuva. The tshuva not a hentik sefer. And Simon Reish Chesed Cotton Test, he brings from Mari Malka and from the Hilchos Ktanos. If you made a alamechia on rice, you do not go ahead and remake a bayim nefashos. It works. You hear this? Azay shtei Hilchos Ktanos. This makes problems. The my cigarette, what's the minig oilam? The Felder told me, and Avraham Genechovsky writes in the Sefer, that if you ate it and you made al hamicha, you do not make a bar nefashos. What? Yes, that's a good eitzah to do that. They said you don't have to do that, but if you want to do that, that'll be the best eitzah. Okay, it's just a little confusing, so I'm just letting you know that rice is a very complicated sugya, and forget rice cakes, just rice itself is pretty big nicer. What we said that there's a tzad to say on all rice to make adam al the minig item is not to do that. The minig item is taka to make a mezainis, but that mezainis you have to know how strong it is. That if you're going to make al hamicha something else, or by mistake you made al hamicha, this happens many times. Your wife calls you up by mistake and made al hamicha on the rice. Should I go ahead and make a bar nefashos? Allah l'maisa tell her not to. We could go with the shayat tshuva that yaitza, because since it's mezin, therefore rice goes into the shayat. Okay, now let's start with this sugya of chavitza, which it sounds like it's a hard word and all, but it's negeya amol. Maybe it's still today. I don't know which generation you're from. If your wife makes challah kugel, yeah, does your wife make challah kugel still?
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
No.
No,
but I remember my mother years ago making it. No, you don't remember? No. Today, it's not politically correct. No, don't have a guest and serve him chavitza kugel, challah kugel. It won't go over that well. He's gonna have to be the kedushas levi to eat it. The kitzah. So the Gemara starts off with the sugya of chavitza. The Lamed Zayin Amud Beis. Amar Rabbi Yosef, Hai chavitza the isbei pirurin kezayis betchila mevarich alav hameitzi lechem in haaretz ulebesayif mevarich alav shalish brachos. But the less bei pirurin kezayis betchila mevarich alav bayim in mezainis ulebesayif bracha achas mein shalish. What is this chavitza? Rashi explains to us. This Rabbi Yosef that's discussing chavitza, Rashi says, ke'en shlonainik, okay, shemefarim b'seich ilfis lecha. What does that mean? You take a piece of bread. He doesn't say exactly that it's cooked, but the Bach puts in a nice gimel that it's cooked. What happens? You have a piece of bread. Rabbi Yosef is telling you a din. You went ahead and you cooked this bread. If there's still pieces of kezayis, the bishul is not mevatel da'afiyah, and you'll go ahead, you'll make hamaitzi and bechsamazah. If it's less than a kezayis, the bishul is mevatel da'afiyah. When do you have this case? Matzah brai. You know what that is? On Pesach, you come, you need a good breakfast. You don't want to eat eggs. You're eating matzah brai. What it is exactly, I don't think I ever saw it, but they say people, everyone knows it is. Okay. HBrachos, obviously, right? Right, so here we have a Gemara. If the pieces are kezayis, days are mitzi. I'm not there. I don't know whatever would be made. Much more kezayis. Fine. You're cooking the matzah. Okay. But now, it's not cooking. Frying is cooking. Depends how much oil you put in. Depends how much oil you put in. It depends how healthy your wife is. So again, if the matzah is being cooked, that's a discussion. You can have a similar case. Every French toast, you know what French toast is? You take the extra challah or bread, and you go ahead and you fry it. Now you fry it with eggs, right? And you fry it. So now it depends how much oil is in there. If the frying is deep, if your wife puts a lot of oil in there, so that's like cooking. So,
what are you talking about that? You getting into the chicken trial now?
I don't want to really get into the chicken. I'm just trying to make it live. I'm trying to make chavitza live. I don't want it to be abstract words. I'm just trying to think of mishalim that we have. I remember when my grandfather was older, they were on matzah. What would we do? We would go ahead and we'll discuss later the difference between Ashkenaz and Sfarad. Matzah, how would he eat it on Pesach? On Chalamoid, my mother would cook up milk and they would put the matzah in the pot and it would get softer with the milk. It was like a cereal.
Called matzah brai, and French toast, and stuffing on the chicken.
Okay, good. Okay, that's good. Kneidlach is going to be a little bit different. Okay, kneidlach is over there. You already made it into part. I want something that's kezayis that you cook. Okay, fine. Any kechem you want. Matzah brai is all that. whatever it is, let's say it's a kazayas, and you cooked it. You cooked it to make it soft. So over here, Zok Rabbi Yosef Adin, that if, like Rashi, the way Rashi ends up the sugya, if you cooked it and it was more than a kazayas, I don't care what the thing looks like. It could look like some mushy vegetables. Still, you make ha'maitzi. If you cooked it and it was less than a kazayas, then the bishel's mevatel da'afiyah, and it loses its shem ha'maitzi. You make it by minimizainis and alamechya. That is the way Rashi learned the sugya. We're not going to go into all the Gedolei Achronim, the way they start having kashas on Rashi, and the rest of the sugya. That's enough for us to know. Taisvis, on the top, the chavitza, he has kashas on Rashi also. So Taisvis says, lekach nearly. I want to say chavitza means something else. The end of the Taisvis, the top right of the Amid, Zok Taisvis, lekach nearly. Oh, I don't know. It's Lamed Zayin on the base. I don't know. Page 6. Zok Taisvis. Oh, he's putting it on. The kach nearly. Oh, here you go. The kach nearly chavitza. Hainu pirurin hanidbakim yachad ayidei merek oya ayidei chalav. It's pieces of bread that were put together through some sauce, merek or chalav, milk. Kamei chavitza the tamish hanidbakim. Now they got connected. That means that you went ahead and Rav Yosef's coming to tell you a din. Even though there's a shinui in the past, how it got connected. If there's a kazayas, it doesn't lose its shem lechem, and you make ha'maitzi. But if these pieces are less than a kazayas, it loses its shem lechem, and you do not make a maitzi, you make a mezainis. So now Reb Shalom Mark is asking a very simple thing that has to be discussed. What is Taisus referring to? Is Taisus asking that the piece itself is a kazayas, or Taisus is referring to that now the whole mush together is a kazayas? Very unclear. Taisus says that what is chavitza? The pieces are put together with this milk or some other juice. Now, how big is the pieces? The pieces are kazayas, and you put it together, and still Taisus holds that if I started with the kazayas, that's what Taisus holds. You'll make a mezainis. Sorry, ha'maitzi. But if I started with less than a kazayas, even though now my piece is larger than a kazayas, I would make a mezainis. Or Taisus is saying, no, the end result. If the end result is a kazayas, then I would go ahead and make a ha'maitzi. But if the end result is less than a kazayas, then I would go ahead and make a mezainis. So this is very unclear. There's a machlokes in Achronim how to learn up in Taisus. Let's put it like that, and we're going to explain it more as we discuss Kneidlich. We'll get to it more, because what's Kneidlich? Kneidlich could be as large as a kazayas, right? But how is it put together? Okay, it's got a bishul. But I'm saying, but be'etzim, if there wouldn't be a bishul process, that would be mamash this shaila and Taisus. Okay, now.
How you measure the kazayas?
Yes, right.
Because the kneidl itself.
Now, soy pasuk is a kazayas, but it comes to a piece less than a kazayas. That is why his shaila is very, very relevant to us. Right, that's right.
The cup that you used it had a kazayas
in it, right? Is that considered anything? So yeah, hopefully we'll discuss all these shaylas. So now, let's discuss as follows. Taisvis, Rashi, let's see what the Shulchan Aruch says. And the Shulchan Aruch is in Siman Kuf Samaches, Sif Yud. See it in the Mishabur. It's easier. Okay. All right, I know that. Okay, I see it. He has it on already. Okay. Chavitza, let's start Sif Yud. Chavitza dahainu piyurei lechem. Shenidbakin yachad ayidei merek. Pieces of. Okay. Pieces of bread that are nidbakim yachad ayidei merek. Where do we see this? We just saw this in Taisus. So the Mechab is telling you Taisus the Shita. Pieces of bread that were connected ayidei merek im nizbashal. Im yesh bahem kazayis af al pi she'ein behem te'al lechem. Even though there's no te'al lechem, I don't care what the thing looks like. If there's a kazayis, you make a ha'maitzi. If there's no kazayis, af al pi Shenir sheyesh b'tei alechem einim mevarich ela b'yim minim mezainis u'bracha achas mein shalosh. So I'm sorry, I read the Mechaber wrong. Here he's going with Rashi, and he's telling if it was cooked. If it was cooked and there's a kazayis, then I make a moitzi. I don't care what it looks like. If it's cooked and less than a kazayis, even though it has a toya lechem, you make a mezainis. Now, let's try to understand this. Is toya lechem play a role or not? Obviously, it's mavur kla. It doesn't make any difference. Because if it's a kazayis, even if it doesn't have toya lechem, you make a moitzi. If it's less than a kazayis, even if it has a toya lechem, you make a mezainis. Right, so what's going on over here? We know that toya lechem, as far as we know, toya lechem is the whole fun. I mean, that's where everything is dependent on. If it has a tzuras hapas, it doesn't have a tzuras hapas. That's the chayr, what we, as far as we know. But over here, the Mechaber is telling us, and that's the chayr of Yosef Din, very clearly. We read the Gemara. The Gemara says that there's no nafkamina if it has a toya lechem or not. If it's a kazayis, you make a hamaitzi. If it's less than a kazayis, you make a mezainis. Fine. Let's stay with that. Then he goes ahead and he says, "Vim einay mevushel," which is taisvis. Elishu mechubay dvash emerek. It's connected through dvash emerek. Im yesh, but prusis kazayis mevarach alav hamaitzi. Afalayin l'ta'alachem. He goes again. If the pieces are kazayis, you make a hamaitzi. Vim einay kazayis im yesh ben ta'alachem. Here is where there's a difference. If there's less than a kazayis, but it has a toya lechem, then you make a hamaitzi. So the first memra was Rashi, and he said Rashi is so stark that if I cook it and it's less than a kazayis, even though it has a toya lechem, I'll make a mezainis. Because cooking, you think it has a toya lechem, cooking breaks that process. It does not have a toya lechem. You don't know what toya lechem means. Masha'in Kain, in Taisus' world, that less than a kazayit to make a mezainis, Dr. Mechaber, that's only if it doesn't have a toya lechem. If it has a toya lechem, you'll go ahead and make a hamaitzi. So that is the Mechaber. Now, that's that same shada that we'll get to it. Yeah. Now, so the Mishabur in Sivkat Nun Hey says, Afal pi she'ein by toya lechem, you cooked a kazayis, even though there's no toya lechem, still you'll make a hamaitzi. Zok the Mishabur. The kivon she'esh b'hem kazayis le'nizbatel mimena sheim lechem. Very key word in the Mishabur. Mishabur is answering our question. What the Shlomo just asked. The Gemara says tzuras halechem. So we have a kazayis. You're right, I have a kazayis. But this thing doesn't look like lechem. Why am I making a maitzi? Zok the Mishabur, a new word, shame lechem. A key word. You're right, there's no toya lechem, but there's a shame lechem. Mishabur telling us the yisoid. And people don't realize this in the Mishabur. There's something called toya lechem. Toya lechem means tzuras halechem. But there's something called shame lechem. The Mishabur was a Murray de Galamden. He's telling you that since it has a shame lechem, it still makes hamaitzi. So Mishabur told us a new word here. Something that has a shame lechem. Now we need the Mishabur to tell us this because we don't understand. This is not like our sugi. Our sugi says everything dependent on tzuras halechem. Dr. Mishabur, but there's another word that I want to use, which is a shame lechem. Since it has a shame lechem, like there's batim and a shame lechem, and therefore you make a hamaitzi. Okay. So here Mishabur telling us a new vod, that even though it lost the tzuras halechem, but as a shame lechem, you make hamaitzi. Now, the Reb Chaim Tzanza, that's not the Divrei Chaim. In the back of the Friedman Shulchan Aruch, they have this new sefer. They bring the malakit, a lot of svarim, and over there they have someone called Reb Chaim Tzanza. You know who that is, Reb Shlomo?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, who is it? Oh yeah? Way before the Divrei Chaim. Okay.
Yes.
It could be. Yes. And that's not the Divrei Chaim. So Reb Chaim Tzanza, he writes over there, he says Midivrei HaTosfos v'Rosh mashma da dafka be'izbei toya lechem u'bekezayis u'mechinon ha'moitzi v'nizbashel. Masha ein kein be'ein mevushel b'chad min ha'esagim. He says v'nochen, not to eat a Teichas Suda, but he says be'etzim, he holds not like this mechaber really. That's what I'm saying. He was a free of the generations. He has the power to argue somewhat. And he says if it was cooked and it's more than a kazayis, but it doesn't have a tzuris alechem, you would still make a mezainis, not a mitzi. Fine. We don't go with that, but I'm just telling you over such a sheet. Now, the mechaber tells us that let's say you cooked it a kazayis and it has a toyal pachas mikazayis and it has a toyal lechem. We saw you still make a bayim in mezainis. Why? It has a toyal lechem. Zok the mishaburis of cotton and vav. Shenir the kivon shen is bashel einay chashiv toyal lechem. That's not considered a toyal lechem. Now, what does that mean? What do you mean? I see the toyal lechem. What do you mean? I'm telling you that I see the toyal lechem. I cooked it, and I see the toyal lechem. Still, the mechaber tells us that Mr. HaRav didn't really, that you don't go ahead and make a mitzi because it's less than a kazayis. What do you mean? But I see the toyal lechem. How do you answer that question? I'm seeing it. What's the answer to that question? I see the toyal lechem. You're telling me, no, I lost it. What do you mean? I see it. It looks like that challah. It looks like the challah that I just ate 2 minutes ago before I cooked it. So it's less than a kazayis. No, you make a mezainis. Why am I making a mezainis? Never lost its surah. The Mishabur again is answering us this question. And he's telling us 2 words. Einay chashuv toyal lechem. That's not considered toyal lechem. What you see, has falsch eigen. You don't see good. It looks like toyal lechem, it's not toyal lechem. This is why, I'm just telling you, why where you can have machlekes and paiskim, what's toyal lechem? Because it's impossible to know. We have Mishabur telling us, I see the toyal lechem in this pachas mikazayis. I put it in the pot for 1 minute. I still see the toyal lechem. No, you don't see it. You don't know what the first thing of toyal lechem means. And that's where we can have machlekes if Cheerios is toyal lechem or not. Or we can have machlekes if wraps is a toyal lechem. Why? Because no one really knows what toyal lechem is.
No, there's no language in Rishonim anywhere which is fine with
To explain toyal lechem, no. And that's what it's magic. It's tzarching other. What the definition I would say is true is alechem. What is article touch? I have no idea.
Keep saying it looks like bread.
So the way I was taught, I mean that it has the holes in it. Bread rises has holes. No. Ear holes.
Doesn't go all the way through. Goes a little bit into the bread.
No. All bread, if you look at it, what's the whole chiddush of sourdough? That it's rising, it has holes in it without yeast. By you they eat sourdough on West Side, or they didn't get to it yet? Even the Alta Dach. It's a new mod, the Gemara Meshuggah development of them, sourdough. How do they know that, what are they all excited? The whole Suda, my wife is telling me, look at the holes in the sourdough. I'm like, what's the holes? What's the zukkach of them? But they're so excited that it rose without yeast. Holes show that it, holes show that the dough rose. Right? Am I saying right, Rabbi Black? The base was ahead. Okay, that's the Matthias. So that's what the Velt says, Ta'alechem. So when you look at a Cheerio, there are holes in the Cheerio. I don't mean the whole of the Cheerio. I'm talking about there are holes in the Cheerio. If you look closely, there are holes. Not big holes like that. Little holes. So that's what you'll have also by when you want to deal with Ta'alechem. That's how the Velt names on. Now I'm just telling you from here that the Mishabur came and told us, you came and said, Yosef says, Pachas Mikazayis, even to Alechem doesn't work. So I would say, there's a cost of Dr. Mishabur, no, it's not the Nakud. The Kibbutz is Mashal, ain't a Chashav Ta'alechem. That's not considered Ta'alechem. Yeah, right, very good. That's true. That's what I'm trying to bring out. He's asking that it doesn't say it doesn't have Ta'alechem. It has a Ta'alechem, but it's not Chashav Ta'alechem. I have a question for you. That's a very valid point what you're saying. I have a question for you. So, okay, it's not okay. I'm not there. Okay, big kitza. It's not like this. He's asking a good shot. He's saying the Mishabur Fakir is trying to answer us, and he's trying to tell you, I have a Ta'alechem, but it's not Chashav Ta'alechem. If Ta'alechem is a Metzias, how are you to say it's not Chashav? What does it mean? Ta'alechem, does it have it? What does it mean? Do I need a Metzias Ta'alechem? Say I have a Metzias Ta'alechem. Now the Mishnah Berurah came with a lumdis. You know what? Let me break it again. It's a Torah lechem, but it's not chashiv a Torah lechem. So how could we go ahead and start paskening if wraps is a mitzvah because it has a Torah lechem, it doesn't have a Torah lechem, but maybe if it has a Torah lechem, it's not chashiv a Torah lechem. There's something besides having Torah lechem about chashivas of Torah lechem.
That is, but it's not chashiv.
Yeah, what does that mean? Right, it's a mitzias. That's why it's so confusing. So then it doesn't have it. Then it doesn't have it. Does it? It doesn't. There's no such thing. Dr. Mishnah Berurah could have it, but it doesn't have a chashivas of it. Since when does it need chashivas? It's a mitzias. Is it here or not here? Yeah, I agree. So I'm saying, again, yeah. I agree with that. That I'm okay with. But over here, we're telling you that it doesn't have a Torah lechem. The Mishnah Berurah says, no, you can't say that because it does. Pasuk says, I see lechem. Dr. Mishnah Berurah, no, you have it all wrong. Torah lechem is not just dependent on the mitzias. Torah lechem is also called chashivas. So that's why today you can have a story of a yashiv, which will just take a detour for one moment with the raps. Of a yashiv, when they walked by with him and they said, raps, what bracha make a raps? He says, no, lechem. What do you mean?
What did he say?
Lechem. Yeah, raps. Now I'm not getting into that. That's a whole share, which I don't know if you'll hear before me, after me. Yes, that's a whole share coming up soon. Rabbi Yashiv? No, that video is not you.
The second guy was a series of three people.
Wow, we.
But we'll get to that when we get to
Yes, there's not time now. Akapanim. So I'm just saying that's why it gets complicated when you're dealing with raps and anything like that, because we don't know what the first thing about Torah lechem is. And even now it's saying that even if it has a Torah lechem, maybe it doesn't have a chashiv of Torah lechem. That's a new gather that the Mishnah Berurah himself, the Chavetz Chaim, went to explain to us with two words. You see how meduyik, there's some people, the Chazanish held you can be medayik everywhere in the Mishnah Berurah. It's not a joke. The Mishnah Berurah over here helped us out in both ways. Saif, there's a kazayas. He tells me that even though it doesn't have a Torah lechem, but it has a shem lechem. And then he tells you by less than a kazayas, even though it has a Torah lechem, but it doesn't have a chashiv of Torah lechem. So what's going on over here? So this needs a whole shape of natzmai, but I'm just bringing you out in a kudah here, that if you're going to come and say, Cheerios, you're going to action on Cheerios, Torah lechem, take it easy. It can have a Torah lechem, but it doesn't have a chashiv of Torah lechem, that's out. The whole chashivas of the Torah lechem is gone. Okay, now, Mishnah Berurah continues and says, the Mechaber says, the same Mechaber. He says, the Imnis Bashal we just read, Imnis Bashal Myesh Bem Kazayis, Afal Pi She'ein B'Torah Lechem, Mevarech HaMoitzi B'Chas HaMazon. Zok the Magen Avram, Sivkat and Chavav.
Let's go to Magen Avram. This the other side. The other side, the other page.
Magen Avram, Sivkat and Chavav.
Move over the page to the previous page. There you go. Get two of me, Yossi. I know.
Yesh Behem Kazayis. Pish. Shebechol Prusa B'fnei Atzma Have Kazayis.
What does that mean?
Each piece by itself is a kazayis. Okay? So he's saying again, we're going in the Mechaber. The Mechaber said you're cooking these pieces. If in each piece by itself has a kazayis, then it's, even though it doesn't have a Torah lechem, you'll make amayt. So it's very clear that each piece by itself has a kazayis. Zaktu Pri Megadim. Umiu b'chada prusa sheyesh kazayis mevarach amayt v'shalosh brachos. Pri Megadim is coming to tell you, Pri Megadim is over here, Eshel Avram. You don't have to see it. I read the whole thing for you. It's a small Pri Megadim. He says, one prusa itself, move the page up a little bit. Okay, fine. You don't have to. He says, one piece itself, you go ahead and you'll make a kazayas on that piece. What is the Pri Megadim coming to say? So Pashtus, Pri Megadim is telling us, you have it?
Pri Megadim, yes.
Okay, it's going to it.
Which number?
It's Eshel Avram Sivkat and Chavav. On this, you have it. No,
it's on page 183.
Yeah, right there. You got it, mamash, right there. Yes. I'm Magen Avram. V'lo mahani bishul, fine, we'll get it. Fine, umiu. B'chada prusa sheyesh kazayis mevarach hamaitzi v'shalosh brachos. One piece that has a kazayas, then you make already hamaitzi and shalosh bracha. Even though it's only one piece
of what?
of this whole pot. You have a huge pot, and you have one piece in the pot that has a kazayas. The rest of the pieces are less than a kazayas. You make on that piece hamaitzi. Now, it's very interesting. I have a whole pot. Most of it, 99% of it, 100 pieces in this pot. All the pieces are less than a kazayas. What bracha do you make less than a kazayas? Mezainis and hamaitzi. But one piece in that pot, sorry, mezainis and one piece in that pot is a larger than a kazayas. The whole pot became a hamaitzi. What type of svara is that? Cooking. After you're cooking. What's going on here? This makes no sense. On that piece, maybe make a hamaitzi, I understand. But on the whole pot, I go ahead and make a hamaitzi? The Tarot says that since we see this is a very gray area, it's very unclear this. I have a Torah lechem, I don't have a Torah lechem, I don't know what the Torah lechem is, chshivas of Torah lechem. So the Pri Megadim is telling us that what the Magen Avraham means is, once I have in this pot a piece of the kazayas, the whole pot has chshivas to it. And the whole pot is considered a hamaitzi pot. It's a magic. The whole pot is considered a hamaitzi pot because in this pot there's a piece that's kazayas. That kazayas stays with the whole pot, and therefore I make a hamaitzi and a b'chsamazin, even though I'm eating one of the pieces that aren't a kazayas. Mavel al. So we see how complicated this halacha is here. That we don't know what the tzuras halechem is, what the not tzuras halechem is, but we do know that less than a kazayas, it loses the tzuras halechem. How does it lose it? Dr. Mishabur, the shame lechem got lost. Fine. Whatever that means. That shame lechem doesn't get lost when I have in the pot one piece more than a kazayas. So you could be eating the whole, everything you're eating is less than a kazayas. But since it got cooked in a pot that has a kazayas, it stays, the tzuras halechem stays. It has a chashivas of the tzuras halechem. You know what's going on?
How does the word kazayas mean tzuras lechem? How do the two together? What's the clarifying that?
The Mishabur is coming to explain to us and tell us that it has a shame lechem, has a chashivas of lechem, even though it doesn't look like lechem.
Just because of the volume.
Just because of the volume. How does he know what's going on if there was a pot, this guy's a caterer, a pot this size, and he's going and I don't know. Good question. So that's why Baruch Hashem is not so relevant for us. We're not really eating this thing. The only thing that was relevant for us was the challah kugel. If you cook it. I don't know what you do with challah kugel. Does anyone eat this challah kugel?
How do you make challah kugel?
I think you mush it. I don't know. Every time I think about it, I get a little bit. Right, I heard that. Someone was telling me that today. I don't know. Okay, now, yeah, whatever. Okay, so now, let's go to Kneidlich, which is negaya to us.
So the maskana halacha till now, quite around.
Yeah, so till now, the Mechab is very clear, and we have this Magen Avraham. The Mishabur actually quotes the Magen Avraham also. So we have this Magen Avraham telling us, yeah, we don't have to go into those nakudas again because that's I'm trying to see if anyone eats something that we could even handle with. So we don't have to be that detailed, but let's just say over just the HBrachos. Yeah, well, yeah, that's good. Yeah. So we have a case that, oh, that's very good. Oh, let's discuss matzah brai. Again, matzah brai, you're cooking? Frying, but let's say you have a lot of oil. Let's say someone puts in a lot of oil, so let's call it cooking. No, because we want to make it relevant. If not, you didn't help anything out with matzah brai. Let's try to make matzah brai relevant. Well, let's say the case that Mitcham, when you're 110 years old, matzah, the only thing that's going to be wrong for you is that it's hard for you to chew matzah. So what are you going to do? Your wife, you're going to still be living Baruch Hashem together, gesund tahait, without any help. Your wife is going to be cooking for you. She's 109, you're 110. Now, what she do? She puts the matzah in the milk. They cook it in the milk. So now, we want to know, should you make a maitzi on this or should you make a mezainis? So we know this Mechaber. The Mechaber tells us very clear. If it's less than the pieces are less than a kazayas, you'll make a mezainis. The pieces are more than a kazayas, you'll make a maitzi. I don't care how it looks. Now we're just going to get stuck. The only thing that we have to worry about is this Pri Megadim. Pri Megadim is the one that's telling us that since there might be one piece in the pot that was larger than a kazayas. Since there's one piece in the pot that's larger than a kazayas, you stay with hamaitzi. Okay? Now. Oh, okay. So now that's what I want to clarify. That the Pri Megadim itself is mashma any piece. The whole pot, that's what Pri Megadim is coming to tell you. If there's one piece, what's the chiddush? He's telling you on that piece, thank you. What else is coming to tell you? On that piece, that's pashut. Why not? That's what I said the whole pot. Now. Yeah, go. I'm sorry? Oh, so I want to tell you now, the Mishabura, the Pri Megadim, that's the passion of Pri Megadim. The Mishabura comes along and in Sifkat Nun Gimel.
Which Nakuda are we on now?
He wants to get me on that Nakuda, which is, he's bringing up a very good point. I'm sorry, I don't know your name, but he's bringing up a very good point.
Introduce yourself.
No, not him. Him, I know. Rabbi got him. Rabbi Bigeleisen? Oh, you're not from the Svarim. No, obviously, I'm related to Stam. Okay.
They're related to him.
They're related to him. That's true. He was the land as I. Okay, Givaldi. So Rabbi Bigeleisen is timing. We said a chiddush that if there's one piece in the pot that's a kazayas, the whole pot makes out amaitzi. That's the pashtus of the Pri Megadim. The Mishabura in Sifkat Nun Gimel says, Im yesh b'hem. You have the Mishabura Sifkat Nun Gimel?
Yes, we do.
He's not bringing it down.
We bought the whole package.
Right,
On the left side, 183 in the middle.
Okay, the only one that's not
Only one's
colored
not
yet. I
yellow.
want you to color that one. Okay. Im yesh b'hem. Lav dafka b'kulam. Again, the Mechab is going that you had a kazayas. He says you don't need all of the kazayas. Ela filim yesh kazayas b'chada prusa. Even though there's a kazayas in one prusa, then gam ken mevorach ala amaitzi b'chsamazin. Umele yochel lechel hashar ktanas gam ken. The Mishabura can't follow the chiddush that we said. So he learns up to Pri Megadim different. He says that even if there's one kazayas, he learns up the chiddush mamish the opposite. That even though there's one piece that has a kazayas, so you would think that piece lost its shem hamaitzi. No, that piece stays with hamaitzi. Okay, I have no problem with that. I think that that's a massive chiddush to learn the Pri Megadim like that. Why? Because what's the tzad that it should lose it? That's a piece that has hamaitzi. Why should it lose it? Who's the other pieces? One second.
It loses the same lechem that the Mishabura had.
Why? This piece is here for itself. The Mishabura is saying, Dr. Mishabura, no. It's a chiddush that a pot is the small ones. Why not? It's like those are mezainis. This is hamaitzi. Every suda that I eat, hamaitzi, the pot is the mezainis. Bottle. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Knedach is not going to be a good marshal. We have to speak about Knedach. Yeah. Okay.
You have 100 knedach, which is clearly matzah there, and you put one piece of challah in the pot.
Yeah.
That makes one knedach hamaitzi.
No, that's something else. Because over there, one second.
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah. One second, let me explain. But again, so we're having a little bit of a argument here, which is a gezunta argument, is what's the chiddush in the Pri Megadim? What? Oh, good. So we're having from the Ma'ariv to the Mizrach, from the Down to Topan over here. If what's happening here? Like this. Let's see the Be'alacha to be more ma'arich on this before we go weiter. The main man kazayis, the small bit. Do you have in the sefer the Be'alachas? It's a small Be'alacha.
The Be'alacha is there.
Is this
on the bottom?
Scroll down
on the bottom of the page. We have it on the bottom of the page. Everybody say, scroll the page down. The Be'alacha is always in the bottom of 183.
Now I want you to see the Be'alacha.
It's coming in a second.
Very important.
It takes a while to scroll. Sometimes
Rabbi Bigeleisen.
It's where it
you
just
see the Be'alacha? Okay, so let's see it. By me, it's dark. It's black. He's not scrolling. it
Okay,
down.
everybody say on the Zoom, it's coming up in a second. The Rav should be in.
I just started. Okay.
Yeah.
The main kazayis nearly the afilim yimotze sham eze chaticha sheyesh b'hem kazayis. Even though there's one chaticha that has a kazayis, mikol mokaim hapirurim hadakim she'ein b'hem kazayis lo nigru basrayu ukishayichem levadam mevarach aleim b'rei minim mezainis. Could you read that? When you're going to eat it itself, you make a b'rei minim mezainis. Not what? Not a mitzvah. What did he just say? I have it sad to say that when I'm going to eat it itself, I should make a mitzvah. He says, no, you don't. You make him a zionist.
If you eat that one first, you eat the whole.
Oh yeah, don't get as complicated. That's going to be a problem if you eat which one first. But again, what did he say? That maybe when I eat it by itself, it should lose the mezainis. No, it doesn't. Isn't that what I just said in Prima Garden? Right. That you would think. No, again, what's the chiddush in the way he's saying it? The way I was telling you originally. You would think that the other pieces you make hamaitzi. Kamash Malon, you don't. Right? I know that we know. We know that Maskana halacha. But what's the chiddush? That you would think you don't make him a zaynis. Kamash Malon, you do make him a zaynis on the small pieces. That means there's a chiddush to say that those small pieces that would, since it was cooked together with the piece that I have a maitzi, I should make a maitzi on those small pieces. Kamash Malon not. Still, he tells you no. You make him a zaynis. Again, the halacha is telling you very clear that you make him a zaynis. Agreed. That's the halacha. But he's telling you what's the chiddush of the Magen Avraham, what's the chiddush of Prima Garden? That if there's one piece of amaitzi, maybe the other pieces also shouldn't be amaitzi, should be amaitzi. Kamashma, no, you make him a zaynis. Right?
Why is the screen? Why are we frozen here? We can't get to this beer lacha. Somebody let me know.
Awesome.
You have to define what this
Pot is.
What is pot?
Good.
If you have 1,799,
Yeah.
you're not going to define this. What pieces of desires, you're not going to define it as how much.
Go ahead.
The same way that if you had Knedler, 100 Knedler, and you dropped in one desires of bread, it's a Knedler.
Okay. So let me repeat what you're saying. I have what you're saying. Rabbi Trapp is trying to say here live that maybe there's a tzad. We have to know the definition of this pot. If this pot has kazayim in it, so maybe the ones that are less than a kazayim should make a maitzi. That's what I said in different words. Same exact thing. That means that I have a question for you. Before I saw Prima Garden, before I saw anything, if I cook two things in a pot, I cook bread and I cook hadoma, apples, eggs, whatever you want, cucumbers. Now, is there tzad to make cucumbers on the cucumbers a maitzi? No, right? Over here, for some reason, since I'm cooking pirurim, which are less than a kazayis, along with pirurim more than a kazayis, there's a very strong tzad, the Prima Garden has to read that maybe on the pirurim pachas make kazayis, you also make a maitzi. Kamash Malon, no, that stays in mezainis. Okay? That means normally I would think I don't need a Prima Garden to mechadish that. It's common sense. That's less than a kazayis, it's more than a kazayis. I need a Prima Garden to teach you such halacha. Yeah. No, I don't have that problem. Because I have the maskanas of Prima Garden, not like that. I'm agreeing to the halacha. I'm just telling you that there's a chiddush. Prima Garden has a chiddush because since the whole Torah Lechem is gray area, the mail of the Prima Garden, where the HaRav upon him learned up Kla, is that there's a chiddush to say that maybe you should make a maitzi. Kamashma, you don't make a maitzi. I'm agreeing to the Seif halacha. And that's what the HaRav is saying. I'm just telling you why there's a chiddush in it, because we started off the whole shit saying with Torah Lechem, even though it has Torah Lechem, and maybe it doesn't lose it, and maybe it does lose it. So therefore, there's a chiddush in the din. Okay, so now, let's move on. So now we have to move to Knedler because it's getting late, and we have to come to something to the Lamaisa. What is Knedler? Knedler is something.
To you, but
Yeah.
one more sekum.
Yeah.
The Dasa Mishabura between the Mishabura and the Bir Lacha and how it's together. One more time.
Yeah.
One more time, please.
If you go ahead and have in a pot something which is less than a kazayas, cooking along with something which is more than a kazayas. You eat the kazayas, you make hamoitzi. You eat the less than a kazayas, you make a mezainis. That's the maskonas apsak. What is the best eitzah? Avada, you should eat, take, if you have it and you have it in front of you, take the piece that has more than a kazayas, and then that would pat the other pieces like pasha. Fine. Right? Clear? Now let's talk about kneidlich again. Let's try it again. What is kneidlich? Kneidlich were matzah meal. What is matzah meal? It was regular matzah. You crushed up the pieces, very small pieces. You put some mix in it, some eggs, and who knows what, and you cook it. Fine. Now, it's less, is it less than a kazayas or more than a kazayas? It depends. Some, it depends how big it is. Right? Some have more than a kazayas, some have less than a kazayas, right? There can be more than a kazayas, right? Very possible.
Easily.
The pieces started with less than a kazayas. Yeah. Okay. So now, small, let's see what he just said. Okay. Now, we know there's a Magen Avraham in Sifkat and Chavches over here. He says, Chavches,
page 184. There you go. Nikra v'yidua.
Right. So middle, we don't have to go through the whole thing. He says like this.
The bottom, no?
Gemara.
Premslach?
1 second, I'm not sure what it is here.
It's by us, it's yellow. It's
Oh, let me look
right
at you.
before the
Let me
bed.
look at you.
Oh,
Yeah, okay, good. Yeah. He says, Oisem sha'oisem premzach milechem mefur, oy milechem shore b'mayim, tzarech levarech hamoitzi, kivon shchilasa yalechem le'nafik mitoyes pas, ad she'en b'chol echad kazayis. Which means, even though the pieces are less than a kazayis, you cook them, it loses ta'alechem, the bracha is mezainis normally. But if you megabel it, and you mavashel it again, so now the pirurim are kazayis, I don't care about the ta'alechem. Because the Gemara, the Shadas way he sees that in the Gemara, this is machlekes and achreinim, but upon him, that's what he says, that you should make a maitzi. Comes out, let the Magen Avraham, you should make a kneidlich, a maitzi. Right? These are pirurim that were less than a kazayas, very clear. Now I put it together as a kazayas, make a maitzi. He brings him a car from a Gemara, again, I'm not going into that, to see the Machzah Shekel, but Akapanim, there's a Shulchan HaRav, Shubas B'Sefraim, how to explain that. So now, the Even Isaac comes along and is very bothered with this Magen Avraham. He says, Dvarav Einim Nir and Li. The shiny Osam, the Chazav and Nidbak Adei Afiyah. It got connected through Afiyah. But if it's Nidbak Adei Bishul, like Chashiv, Chibul, and Mechshavei, Mishamachi Lechem, that's not going to be Kameka Lechem. How do you make these kneidlich into kazayis? Through bishul. You put in sauce, whatever, some eggs and some whatever, oil, whatever, and then now you cook it. Says that doesn't give it a kazayis. Now the way I put it was that's the mafriya. That's what he's very bothered with. So he says this chibur that you're connecting it with is good for a reason why you shouldn't make a mitzvah. That's his first question. Here's another question. He says the ikka time why you make a mitzvah b'bishul is since there's already a shem lechem, so never lost the shem lechem. But by us, what did you do? Fakir, I broke the shem lechem, but breaking it smaller than a kazayas. So that's why he knocks it out and he says can't be such a thing. The breaking and cooking and putting it along with the dibuk with the other. No, then no. If you have breadcrumbs, you make a mitzi. I don't care how big it is, right? That's not a tzad not. So now, Zok the Mishabur, Sifkat Nun Tes. He writes like this: Vaskomas harba achreinim. It's the middle of the Mishabur. Vaskomas harba achreinim. He brings the bottom. Who's that? Evan Oizer. It's in Gimel. Then Bishlam Bigdeira. I tignam b'machvas b'mashke the choshev kebishel. Av sheyesh b'chol achatz kazayis v'yoyse mevorech aleim b'rei minim mezayim.
Which Sifkat is the
Sifkat Nun Tes.
Nun Tes. Back to Nun Tes.
Has it?
We're getting in a second. Hold on.
Nun test. So in the middle of it, a little bit further, five words further. Vaskamas HaRav HaRav. It's where the small nun gimel is. You got it. Then bishlam big dayrai tignam b'machvaz b'mashke the chashuv kebishel. Af sheish b'chalachas k'zayis b'yoysim avarach le'bayim in the v'afilam achal haba v'chein hu miniga olam. So here we have Mishabura telling us very clearly, not like the minig olam is not like the Magen Avraham. The minig olam is that if it was small pieces and now I cooked it or a tignon, I make that's considered bishul, and therefore I make a bayim in a mezainis.
Because that takes it out of a mitzi.
Yeah. Now,
Both bishul and tigun, right?
yeah, so we have no problem. Al knei lecha bishul, no problem. Kum t'chsam seifer on the Agayasan. I don't think you have it. It's Agayasan the Shulchan Aruch over here for not, and he brings the Evan Isaac that argues with Magen Avraham, and he says as follows. Ve'evan ha'oizer helo da matzah knedel shenilish bebayim v'chalav ein kam be'smichos klal u'mevarach bayim in mezainis ve'afilen nilish b'mayim, even if you put it in water you fire a knedel she'yapachas mikazayis v'chein noyag. So he says Evan ha'oizer, no problem. But the Chasam Sofer himself in Menhagei Chasam Sofer is brought down. He was machmer that each piece should end up as pachas mikazayis. He would not eat a big knedel. In Shuvas Maram Shik, who's a Talmud of Chasam Sofer, after he brings the Evan Oizer, that this Evan Oizer that we discussed, he says, "Afila achir isi shachashash hagon balach Chasam Sofer zal beknedel shetziva la'asoisam bepachas mikazayis b'shas abishul imayoytz levarach leim rak b'yim in mezainis." Chasam Sofer himself was makpid on making sure the knedel are less than the kazayis. So now, very not simple. You tell your wife to do that, she's going to tell you not negay. Kazayis is an olive. Very small. Okay, a little bit bigger maybe than you think. Let's say it's along with the pit, without the pit. Whatever it is, no one's making such knedlach. There are such a thing, someone told me that his wife makes a soup with little matzah balls. Just like a lot of little matzah balls. I haven't seen that yet.
Also cooked?
Yeah, matzah balls always.
So what's the difference?
No, so it's less than a kazayis.
Each one is less than a kazayis.
Each one's less than a kazayis. So now the shah is like this. So you want to be makbid with Chasam Sofer. There is some makbid to be makbid because we're saying the Magen Avraham. The Magen Avraham says that the Mishabur brings it right before. Hainu impir alechem. Two lines before we in that same Mishabur nun test. Impir alechem hachachzion l'soiles v'achka chaza v'giblon b'shuman v'kiyotze b'shakayin shonakayim b'shein k'neidlach echremzach. I am Magen Avraham mashakotzav is that. He quotes the Magen Avraham. He writes that the minhag is not like that. So he quotes the Magen Avraham. So like the Magen Avraham is a very stark makom to be machmer. Now, I'm not telling you to stop eating knedlach, but the end of the day is that there is a stark makom. Now, the question is like this. Let's say you eat a knedel and you cut the pieces before. If you eat out of a whole knedel, so you're eating out of a big kazayas, fine. But let's say I cut the pieces before, and now I go ahead and eat each piece. I cut the pieces smaller than a kazayas. Is there any mileage to that?
You mean they came? The
knedel was cooked as a kazayas. So, like the Mishabur, mutter. You make a mezainis. Like the Magen Avraham, make a maitzi. So you know what? I want to be makbid in this Magen Avraham. Can I cut this into small pieces and then eat it? And even like the Magen Avraham, it should be a mezainis or not? You hear the shayla? What do you think? No. Rabbi Stern is saying, no, why should I do anything? Right? Who cares if I cut it before? It was cooked as a kazayas, no such thing. Now, I want to tell you that there are shittas that hold that, yes, it does make a difference how it's cooked, how you cut it. Since now,
At what
I
point?
put it
At
back.
what point of the cut? What point is the cut?
That means before I eat it, I cut it. Now it's in front of me, cut. After it's cooked as a kazayas, I cut it into smaller than a kazayas. Not that I put it in my mouth.
With your spoon? You cut it with your spoon.
My spoon's all time. Now it's in front of me smaller than a kazayas. That means I get the soup with a knedel in it. And I cut it smaller than a kazayas. I don't want to tell you who, but the chazanish, big people, I'm not talking about the holds, that would be enough to go ahead and break it, to make it to less than a kazayas, because since the only thing that made it chashivas is only through the bishul, now I have it in front of me less than a kazayas, that would be enough.
Why is the chavlaisa was kazayas then kaveya?
Because So 1 second. So let me explain to you why. Because the way you got chashiv, really it was less than a kazayim. The way you got chashiv was that you put it together. It's not broken.
Yeah, B'shas.
No, we came out not like that. Avada, we came out that that's not halacha l'maisa. We were trying to say maybe that could be the chiddush, but Avada not.
Well, why wasn't it became one piece? So what? You cut it up afterwards. So what? B'shas chalais ma'aser became one
It
piece.
doesn't matter. But since the whole chalais was only as long as the chalais was there.
Not alumnus. It's the Matthias.
Yeah.
Okay.
Once it was now a new status, there's a piece. You cut it into less than a kazayah, so it goes back to what it was originally, and therefore, now how do we explain this? Well, it makes no sense. The answer is that it's not supposed to make sense. What do I mean? We said Tayah lechem. It doesn't have Tayah lechem b'chlal. So we said no, but it's a kazayah as a shame lechem. So that shame lechem, whatever that magic word means in the Mishnah Berurah, lost when you cut it into pieces. It doesn't have a Tayah lechem because we said it even in the beginning because it's lost in shame Tayah lechem. Mishnah Berurah said a magic word as a shame lechem. Chazanish could tell you that shame lechem, once I cut it into small pieces, it lost the shame lechem also, and therefore it goes back to a mezainis. Let's make a sikum. Negel in Yenenu, kneid lach. Minig ha'olam is to make a mezainis. And you could stay with it. You want to be makbar on a nuchasam sefer that you heard today. Some sefer himself says that you should make some sefer in Nagayas, writes like the Ebenezer. But
Once that was finished, the olam, who keeps like the Chum Sefer?
Imam Shik.
The Einiklach from the Chum Sefer, keep the Chum Sefer?
No, but believe me, I try. My wife, I have a big cheshuk to eat it. I try not to eat it because I'm Einiklach some sefer. Why not? So now,
I trapped him.
yeah, believe me, I haven't eaten it for a long time. Good, so that's really cool. You see, you have a very time understanding that. And also, my kids are going to start cutting kneidlich. My wife wants them to eat it. Let's say Friday afternoon, she makes kneidlich. She wants them to be full. I'm not going to start doing that in front of her. I just try myself not to eat it, only teicha suda. Believe that. I'm not. Not mazanis, make a mazanis. Oh, now 2, you mean shak and mazanis? That is not the share, please. Don't let's not get involved in that. Yeah, that's not it.
No, but so Londinsky house, they make only small kneidlich. That's what you're saying?
No, we don't make small kneidlich. My wife doesn't know about this. I'd rather don't eat. If it's not in a suda, I wouldn't eat a kneidlich.
You can tell her to make small kneidlich.
This thing to make matriarch to start making.
Mrs. Seifer made small kneidlich, right?
Mrs. Seifer made small kneidlich. Yes, my wife is not Mrs. Seifer, and that's why my chumras I do not like to throw on anyone else. The Eilim should keep on making mezainis. They pass him the paisik from Radin, and that's what the Welt does. Minig Eilim v'zehu.
Posted the Chasam Sefer.
And the Chasam Sefer himself passed him like that. The Chasam Sefer on himself was makpid. Okay, everyone has their chumras, what they want to take on. Don't throw it on others. Don't make your wife make it difficult because you have a narish chumra that you found somewhere. Okay.
And if you're a brisker, let her carry even if there's no air.
Okay. We didn't discuss.